The Cancer Project is a non-profit organization advancing cancer prevention and survival through nutrition, education, and research. This Food for Life nutrition and cooking class, designed by physicians, nutrition experts, and registered dietitians, includes medical information about how foods and nutrients affect cancer growth. The Food for Life series offers an entertaining cooking demonstration of simple and healthy recipes that can be recreated easily at home. Here is Dr. Neil Barnard, President of the Cancer Project.
Hello and welcome. Prostate cancer is a leading killer, and it doesn't have to be, because if we take lessons from around the world and people who follow different kinds of diets, we get clues about how we can actually reduce the likelihood that this will happen in our own lives. And for men who already have prostate cancer, there's a lot they can do to hold it beyond arm's length. Let me share with you a couple of things. First of all, the good news. There's something in foods that is actually protective against prostate cancer, and that is the red coloring in tomatoes. Anybody know what that's called? Very good. Lycopene. Lycopene. L-Y-C-O-P-E-N-E. Lycopene is a cousin of beta-carotene. In the same way as carrots get their orange color from beta-carotene, a tomato gets its red color from lycopene. It's a powerful antioxidant. And studies have shown that men who have just 2 tomato servings per week have about 23% less risk of prostate cancer compared to other men. Men who have 10 or more servings per week have a 35% reduction in their likelihood of ever developing this disease compared to men who get less. And the nice thing is, it happens even with spaghetti sauce, salsa, you know, you don't think of these as healthy foods, but they've got a lot of lycopene in them, and it'll pass into your bloodstream, and it'll protect you. Now, there's some things that aren't so healthful. Milk products, surprisingly enough, are associated with a higher risk of prostate cancer. And this first came out of studies comparing different countries. Countries like Thailand, Japan, China. On a traditional diet, there's very little dairy products, very little milk, very little of any kind of dairy products in their diet. You compare that to Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, lots of dairy products, and you see a clear pattern. The more dairy men eat, the more prostate cancer risk they have. So researchers at Harvard said, that's interesting, but would that be true in this country? And so they did a study called the Physician's Health Study. They took about 21,000 men. Everybody's a physician, everybody's healthy, nobody's got cancer. They look at their diets, and what they find is exactly what we found comparing different countries. That those men who had the most dairy products as part of their regular diet, 2.5 servings or more per day, they had about a 34% increased risk of developing prostate cancer. Well, that's intriguing, seems to confirm the finding. They did another study called the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study. These were health professionals who were not physicians, and what they found was exactly the same thing. Among about 48,000 men, those who consumed more than 2 glasses of milk per day had, in this case, about 60% higher risk of prostate cancer compared to other men. How can that be? We're talking about milk. We grew up with this. Our parents wanted us to consume it. You go to the school lunch line, they want you to have it. It's heavily promoted. Why is it linked with cancer? Well, there are several possible reasons, but the one that people have really zeroed in on the most is something called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor number 1. What's IGF-1? This is a bit of a mouthful. They should have invented a shorter name for it, but that's the name we're stuck with. Insulin-like means like insulin. It puts sugar into cells. But it's a growth factor. That means if I mix IGF-1 with prostate cancer cells in the test tube, they grow like crazy. I think of it as fertilizer on weeds. So if a man is avoiding milk, where's he going to get his calcium? Well, I like to think of 2 sources, the greens and the beans. When I say greens, what do I mean? Green vegetables, broccoli, kale, collard greens, just about any of the green vegetables. They've got a lot of calcium. One exception, spinach. Spinach is a very selfish vegetable. It's got calcium, but it won't let you have it. It has calcium, it's just not absorbable. But the others, they actually have a higher absorption rate, a higher absorption percentage than milk does. Broccoli, more than 50% of the calcium in broccoli is absorbed. For milk, it's about 32%. So the greens are good. The beans are good as well. just about any of the beans. They've got lots of calcium in them, and the greens and beans are a good source. But don't feel that you need to have an enormous amount of calcium. A little bit goes a long way. Researchers have said, if it seems to be the case that a diet rich in vegetables and fruits, bringing you that lycopene, if that's protective, getting away from dairy products and fatty foods, that seems to be protective. What if I tested in men who have prostate cancer already? I want to share with you two important studies. One was by a researcher named Gordon Sachs at the University of Massachusetts. It was a small study. He brought in 10 men, and what he was tracking was called PSA doubling time. What is that? PSA, prostate-specific antigen. All this is a protein that's in the blood, and it's made by prostate cells, so if it's going up and up and up and up and up, that means there must be prostate cancer somewhere or something abnormal in the prostate that's causing it to rise. It's a good indicator of how we're doing with prostate health. And they measured doubling time. How long does it take for it to go from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16? If it doesn't take much time, that means the cancer is rapidly progressing. Okay. They brought the men in. They asked them to follow a very low-fat vegan diet, meaning no animal products at all, very low in oils. And what they found was that their doubling time, which started out at about 6.5 months, meaning it took that long for it to double, it was stretched out in the course of this study to about 17.7 months, meaning their PSAs on average were rising, but very, very slowly. And there were several men in the study where their PSA actually started to fall. Well, that's encouraging. It looks like things are going in the right direction. So Dr. Dean Ornish, who became famous for showing that a vegetarian diet could actually reverse heart disease, which is a terrific finding, the arteries open up again. He said, what happens about prostate cancer? It ought to be helpful there too. So he brought in 93 men. Everybody had prostate cancer, but they were in this group they call watchful waiting. That means you've got the cancer, but it's not progressing really aggressively. You can wait before you get treatment. The doctor tracks their PSA, and if it's not shooting up too fast, they just wait. In the control group, this group was not asked to make any diet change. The experimental group went on a vegan diet, no animal products at all, no dairy products. That ought to be good, right, from a standpoint of prostate cancer. Here's what happened. In the control group, the people that didn't make diet changes, their PSAs did what PSA does in cancer patients. It was rising. In the course of the study, it went up about 6%, and out of the 49 men in that group, 6 of them couldn't wait anymore. Their cancer was progressing so aggressively they had to go ahead and have treatment. But what about the vegan group? These people who learned how to have oatmeal for breakfast and how to have vegetables and fruits in their diet, how to top their spaghetti, not with that creamy Alfredo sauce, but with a tomato sauce that gets away from the dairy and brings in the lycopene. All in that group, the PSA wasn't rising, it wasn't holding steady, it actually, on average, fell about 4%. In other words, they're getting better. And not one of the men on the vegan diet needed treatment during this research study. Don't get me wrong, prostate cancer, like all cancers, is a serious condition. We want to have good methods for detecting it, we want to have good methods for treating it. But if we change our diet, we really can tackle this epidemic. Thank you very much.